What's up, everyone? Tag a friend and let them know we're about to get into it.
Welcome to the Speak Her podcast with your host, Camille Essick, the podcast where creators and innovators connect. Let's get started.
The world can be a circus, ringling, watching the world spinning around, dizzy. This is the place to excel, sit down, a place to listen, a place to take in.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm your co-host Jonathan. Camille will be here shortly. Before we begin, be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe.
Keep the Speaker podcast ad-free. Scan the QR code and buy me a coffee. Your support keeps us ad-free as we continue to bring you conversations impacting the community and the culture.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Please share this and tag a friend who needs to hear this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. What I need you to do right now is hit that notification bell and subscribe. We are streaming across so many platforms, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. And of course, you heard the remix to the song I wrote, Ear Candy, is now available, as well as our entire soundtrack. Y'all, we have a whole soundtrack on Tidal Music. So I'm very excited about that. And we have music videos available on YouTube. So many things to come. First of all, before we get into this phenomenal guest, I met him a few years ago and he's just been great. Before I do that, I want to say thank you to everyone that has supported, subscribed, followed, shared, whatever you've done to make this podcast amazing. We are now about 100 downloads away from hitting our next milestone of 15,000 downloads across all platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. And I definitely want to say thank you to everyone that has made that just possible here. So without further ado, we have the one and only, the amazing, we call him the Professor Jason B. Allen. He is here. So everyone, let's welcome back Jason and just say good to have you here. Hi, Jason. How you doing?
Hello, and I love this advancement of technology and are super excited to be back on the platform in the studio with you. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So those that are not familiar with who you are, just let the listeners and the viewers know a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
I love that. So Jason B. Allen, this is my 21st year in education. I currently work for the National Parents Union as the National Director of Partnerships. We are the modern united voice of American families. We are creating and implementing positive policies. It's free to join our network. I have to do this public spiel right now. Go to nationalparentsunion.org. If you are a parent, caretaker, educator, student advocate, join our network, get the information. It's vitally important that people are connected to a network providing you with factual information, data, polling information from parents, families, caregivers, and students about what's happening in public education, economically, with health and safety. So join the National Parents Union right now. I also have the honor of being a board chair for Lily's Foundation. It's a nonprofit serving grandparents and caretakers raising school-age children. I'm a huge advocate for grandparents and caretakers. Visit us at liliesfoundation.org. We have an amazing brunch coming up in September for Grandparents' Day. It is a national holiday, and we want you to celebrate. So that's a little bit about me.
Yes, please tag me on that. I have my grandparents here.
I love it.
And they're just such an inspiration to me in so many ways. And so I love that. So please tag me in that because I definitely want to share that with my people because I want our peoples to be each other's peoples.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And the last time we chatted, I was actually on your platform with the Black Man Speak Black Man, and it was the maternal health conversation. And again, thank you so much for having me and just hosting that. And I before we get into tonight, and I want to give you your flowers because Jason, it even though I'm not a parent, it just meant so much to me to see Black men advocating for us in the space of maternal health. I think that's important in the diaspora of medical health and resources when we see our men standing up for us, speaking for us for our health and wellness. So if you all missed that conversation, please follow Jason, support him on his YouTube, and check out that episode. And again, thank you for hosting that space.
Yes, it's a very important conversation. It's a part of the Black Male Educator, the BME Appreciation Day initiative that educational entities host. We are definitely streaming this live as well. So check us out at educationalentities.com for all of the conversations we are having centering the work of male and fatherhood engagement.
Absolutely. So without further ado, we're going to get into the heart of tonight's conversation. And I have you on because you're one of those people I lean on when it comes to the space of education with our people because you're so knowledgeable and you're also so passionate. And so with that together and your intelligence, you just, no question to have you as a guest. So the first thing I want to ask you, Jason, right now, within this climate, we're seeing a lot of foolishness going on. And so I spoke with another educator and they informed me of a term called looping. And that's where there's a space where kids can lose some of the knowledge base between the summers or semesters between end of school year and the beginning of the school year. So how can
That's good.
parents kind of navigate the space of not just auto dumping what they learned from the previous year to bridge the gap and so they can go on and be successful into the coming year?
Okay, here's what I want to say regarding that. Parents in public education who have children who are in schools on annual calendars where we're starting maybe before Labor Day, right around that time, and getting out of school right around this time. The summertime is vitally important. It seems like it's shrinking because by the time kids are out of summer school, you're really like 2 weeks out and it's time to go back to school. So to answer your question, here's what parents can do. Remember that education, one, starts at home. School does not provide the foundational skills needed for your child to thrive academically. Education starts at home, which means that if we remember this, we change the narrative that education is like an off and on switch. We're always learning. We're always being connected to things that are helping our minds to expand and to grow. So if parents take that approach with their children around learning, it won't be that, oh, I'm getting out of school, so I automatically get to shut my brain off and don't have to think and make, critical decisions and be engaged socially with others. So yeah, that's what I would say to that part of your question. Now, I can give you a solution and also a strategy if you're willing to hear it.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So one of the things that I encourage parents to advocate for is within your maybe school district, if you have a cluster of schools, community schools, your neighborhood schools, I encourage parents to advocate for having at least one year-round school. And why is that? Because the question that you asked, that is a verified solution, that children who are able to learn year round, they still get breaks. They actually get more frequent breaks. And those are structured breaks. We have partners in different states where, when schools are out on break, students are in learning camps, whether it's band camp, cheer camp, they're in some type of STEM camp. They may be in band camp. Basketball camp, some type of sporting camp. This is an alternative for children to be able to develop skills academically, socially, and emotionally. So it's also reimagining, rethinking what public education can look like. Year-round school is not anything new. It's been around for a while, but a lot of school districts do not provide this. And a lot of people don't realize that this is also a school option.
Okay. I hear you on that, but on the backside of that, just based on what I've been looking at, and maybe you can attest to this, I'm seeing more and more of our Black boys falling behind, not only just through the summer, but just during the year. And that trickles over into higher education where we're seeing the gap widening between our young Black men and young Black women crossing the stage, graduating from college. So in the scope of even that with the summer session, the breaks, what is happening to our young Black boys and Black men in the bigger scheme of things?
Okay, awesome. I will say one of the things that the Black Male BME Appreciation Day movement is addressing is the teacher and educator pipeline that includes how we are connecting to Black men. So, of course, this is the Speak Her podcast on educational entities. I host the Speak Black Man podcast. And one of the themes that connects to this question is the pipeline, right? So how do we get more fathers, grandfathers, caretakers, men in our community engaged in education? Because education is the key to our freedom. It is the key to liberation. How do we get men to become teachers and educators? And so we have a pipeline in Georgia that I feel like is really strong. We are focusing in on early education. Many of us hear and see, the social media influencers and the TikTok reels about the literacy crisis, but a lot of people don't realize that we, even as adults, are a part of this crisis. And early education is the key to that. To answer your question, getting more men connected to being in the classroom, supporting early learning, early childhood development, we all play a role, and the teacher pipeline is key to helping us reach more Black children, not just Black boys, but it's also shown that Black girls also benefit from having Black male teachers, especially in early education.
You you are reading my mind because I actually was about to ask you about that, Jason. And if you are just tuning in, please be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe. And I'm glad you brought that up because as you were talking, I was actually thinking about that. And I want to ask you as far as why are we seeing the decline of Black men in the classroom, part one, and then part two, um, what that really means, because I know it's not always I follow Mr. Dallas on TikTok, and I love him in the classroom spaces and responses, but I think, some men shy away because it's not, always a glamorous job, but really part 2 of that question, really understanding the importance of having that Black male presence in the classroom and really what it means to the students.
Awesome. So I want to give a couple of data points for people to get connected to where you can actually get great data around this. I want to start again, National Parents Union. We have several polls on what do parents and families say that they want. We have a male fatherhood coalition where we have fathers, uncles who are caretakers. We have grandfathers that are part of the work that we're doing to improve policies. And one area in particular where we're seeing a lot of men and fathers engaged is literacy. Real men read, real men teach. I want to drop the names of a couple of our partners. Curtis Valentine is leading this work nationally. Check out this brother, look up his work. Sharif El Mekki with the Center for Black Educator Development. If you want to see where there are areas of need, technology, right? That's a great area to get more young people. Let's talk about young people here because young people need economic stability. So let's talk about how can we connect them with teaching the next generation. Also, big shout out to the new remake of A Different World, which I'm hoping will inspire more young people to want to become teachers and professors, knock on wood, because it was a big inspiration for me. Let me also say that we have, organizations such as Messy Roots. Mario Javon Shaw is doing coaching for people to be able to reach people in different spaces, and educators also need coaches, which we're seeing literacy coaches and leadership coaches. So I want to, just drive the points that there are organizations that have data, that have programming. One of the things as a former classroom teacher, I would teach my former students that if you really want to, be able to tell if somebody is making impact, look to see if they have a program that has data proving their solutions to be effective. because if they don't have that, then they're really just talking a good game. And everybody can get on social media, as we see, and talk, but who actually has a program with research, data, and strategies that are bringing people to economic freedom, educational empowerment, better health, safer communities, et cetera, and so forth.
That's so good. Um, I wanna turn the corner just a little bit and kind of scroll back. You're so passionate about what you do in the educational space and knowledge space, but I want to know, what is Jason's origin story and what made you so passionate about education?
I love that. So I come from a family of educators as far back as 1865. My mom is a retired educator to make it even closer. My sister, my cousins on both sides of the family are educators all over the country in California, Virginia, North Carolina, Ohio. We are moving the needle in education, and I am influenced heavily when I'm looking around my room right now at some of the photos of family members who are educators, photos that I've had in my classroom as a teacher. I'm looking at my mom's reading chair. She's an educator over 30 years, and she had a chair that she would read to her students in, that I have in my home work office now. And so the influence from my family as teachers, as activists, as organizers is what has led me to be a longtime abolitionist teacher.
That is so beautiful. Um, and in that journey, in that story, you here today in 2026, looking back, what would be a message you would give to young Jason B. Allen?
A message I would give to my younger self would be to follow your first mind. I
Mm,
often think that people maybe second guess themselves and will say,
mhm.
I shouldn't do this. I learned that early on in my career, but I wish that I could go back and tell my younger self, don't second guess yourself. Continue to make the moves that you are doing and always follow your heart.
That's so good. And in that, Jason, I know you've been met with a lot of challenges, particularly now within this climate with DEI. What is one message you would give to those in the classroom navigating all of this foolishness, rhetoric, false information, misinformation? What do you say to young Black educators right now for someone that's been there, done that, and kind of some words of wisdom to them? Because right now it's just real stupid.
So here are a couple of things I would say to young educators, current educators who are maybe between their, first to 3 years of teaching, maybe even, those who are, you know, 5-year educators.
Mhm.
Remember your purpose. Teaching is a calling. It's a spiritual gift. And I think that people miss that. And I'm going to teach because it looks fun or I need a job. The job market has changed. I need something to fall back on. If people are going into the profession with that mindset, we won't be able to put kids first. So I
Mhm.
would definitely encourage teachers to, you know, understand and maintain your purpose because you're impacting the lives of young people. The second thing is to learn from your elders. That is something that I feel like the younger generations have lost grip of, and it may be because of things that they've seen, they've witnessed, relationships, but we also have to be reminded not to generalize all people, because just because I had some bad experiences with people in my community doesn't make all people in my community bad.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
just want to preference that for young educators. And the last thing I would say for younger educators is to remember that this is an investment. The societal issues that we are having today is because there was not a value in education, and the value of education starts with us. There are some phenomenal teachers in classrooms, whether it's private schools, public schools, charter, magnet, partner, whatever school structure. There are some amazing teachers and educators, and I do want to encourage anyone who is in the classroom to continue to do your best, learn the system, but don't let the system play you.
That is so good. In the last several years, we've seen a lot of hard things in the classroom where students have been disrespectful to educators, all the way to we've seen um, mass shootings, and teachers are having to navigate kids dealing with food insecurities, things going on at home, bullying, cyberbullying, on top of their personal pay disparities. And so that can be a lot when you're having to weed through so many things before you're able to even reach the child for the lesson, whether if it's you're the therapist and the nurse, and then you're
True.
subbing as a parent and social worker, like, and then sometimes maybe a youth pastor. And so in those spaces, how should educators manage their mental health and wellness dealing with all that on a daily basis?
Mental health is key. Let me just, say that June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Brothers Brunch Foundation, go check them out. Kenneth Reddick is an amazing resource for educators, not just Black men, but how can fathers, men balance their mental health, have conversations with their children in their communities, with their families. Great place to get resources. I want to start there and say that. If our educators and our teachers are not well, then our children and our students will not be well during school. That will also trickle down to what is happening at home and vice versa. Being a former school leader, one of the things that I would say is prioritizing the mental health of educators means doing what's needed to balance the school budget so that you don't have to cut teachers' pay, because teachers are not making equitable wages in regards to what they should be paid. So economics does impact the wellness of teachers if they have to work full time and then have to work 2 or more part-time jobs. So teachers aren't well if they're having to do that. I also want to highlight that educators play a major role in the success of students and their learning in the classroom. So bus drivers, if they can't get to school on time, school nurses, if they're not able to check the wellness of students who may have a fever and a virus that can spread across the school. We can't afford a school nurse. So now we have kids that are sick and we're losing out on instruction because we're not investing in education the way that we can. That impacts the wellness of the educators and the teachers when we don't have the resources that we need. Why am I saying resources? Because people think that a pencil, a pen, and paper, tablets are the only resources that students need. No, students need a counselor. They need a nurse. They need paraeducators. They need for these people to also be paid well so that they can show up to work and be there. So this is
Yeah.
what I would say impacts the wellness of teachers, because this is what allows them to do their jobs well so that children are well.
That is so good. Um, and even in that space, frustration on top of frustration, what and how should teachers be able to navigate um, dealing with the curriculum, being told you can't allow them to read this book, they can't be taught this, you can't mention that. We're hearing about situations like January 6th being scrubbed from the internet like it didn't happen, and the teacher knows things in the textbook are inaccurate, untrue, just flat out wrong, and but then attempting to maintain what has been approved for the district, for by the district for the year, but there's a personal conflict, the conscience, you're in conflict. How should educators in these predicaments navigate these situations and spaces?
That's a great question. So I want to again, I'm gonna reference this maybe a lot in our conversation, but the National Parents Union. teachers and educators need organizations that are nonpartisan, that are really going to be able to advocate on their behalf. We have polling data that shows that parents and families do want educators to be paid more money because educators are valued, teachers are valued. We have data reflecting that parents and families want bus drivers to have equitable pay so that they can afford health care. You know, there are data points to show that housing affordability for teachers and educators is key. Why am I saying that? Because we have data that shows that parents and families are actually true advocates for teachers and educators. So, as a former classroom teacher, I would encourage teachers and educators to ensure that in any partnership you're making, you're definitely making partnerships with the parents and caretakers of the children that you are leading academically. That's important for their success. Now, I want to connect this to a point you brought up earlier about behavior. Where teens are, we're seeing teen takeovers in schools, communities, businesses all over the country. Well, why is this happening? Well, let's really get into why is this happening. One, there has been an ignoring of children since the spike of AI and technology, and really, let's say, post the pandemic. Children have been on social media and devices and don't know how to communicate with their parents. They don't like their siblings because they don't even know them. They know them through social media, but they don't know them. They don't know their personalities. And some people may be hearing this and saying, well, that's not my child. That's not what I'm seeing. Well, your child may be well rounded. Your child may be in sports that you're able to pay for because remember, economically, inflation is not allowing this to happen. These programs are being cut because this administration does not believe in social programming. So, how are children actually being taught how to socialize? And they're depending on Meta to do it. They're depending on TikTok to do it. We're relying on these social media apps to do this. So when we think about, oh, it's a teen takeover, yes, a teen takeover, because these teens are mimicking what they are seeing on social media. They are mimicking the havoc that they are seeing in reality TV. They are mimicking what they are seeing in their household that also may not be stable because, again, the economics are driving what the brains are processing. And so I just wanted to break that down for people because we are demonizing our young people and placing blame on parents, and we're not really accepting that we all have played a role in this because I've seen the best of us give that child that tablet because we want them to be quiet. We give them the phone because we don't want them, to act up. Parents are doing, caretakers are doing, teachers are doing, educators are doing, community members are doing what we have been conditioned and programmed to do. And so, how do we deprogram? And that's the question.
Yeah, that's good, and you actually touched on a point, as far as, the iPad, the device is the new pacifier, right? And so it's
Yep.
like, as long as they're quiet, as long as they're not bothering me, and they're not outside, whatever, and just from what I'm observing, you're giving the child the device to get them out of your hair because you too are so busy trying to go viral, creating your own videos on social media, just from my observation, on top of everything, too, although I'm not a parent, something else I've observed is a lot of these kids, not all, but a lot of them that are doing a lot of the deviant behavior, to portray this street image, and I know one personally, and, we went, I've known him since we were teenagers, from the suburbs, two-parent household, nice family, nice home, nice community, nice neighborhood, but always hanging with, air quote, "the rough crowd," trying to prove you're about that life, and got into a lot of sticky situations, and his life has gone down some different, paths, and it's like, "Why are you even acting up like this?" Like, "Dude, you're from the suburbs." And so what I'm noticing a lot of these
Okay.
kids, and the parents are rewarding them. You're getting C's and D's, but they have a flat screen in their room. They have the newest Call of Duty. They're getting all the Jordans, but you can't even pronounce the word silhouette on a postcard. That's a problem.
You know, we all play a role in this.
Yeah.
I look at national data. I always like to bring up data because data is collected, you know, all over the country in various ways. Now, let's look at data around family engagement. Let's start with some pros. First of all, Fathers Incorporated has a lot of data reflecting that Black men, Black fathers are the most engaged fathers in households. We also, in Georgia, for those who live in the state of Georgia, Georgia has a high number of single dads. Ladies, I don't know if that helps you out, but let me tell you that Black men in Georgia are taking care of their kids by any means necessary, and they're also fighting to make sure that they're actively engaged in their lives. We also have data that shows that Black families, amongst other families across the country, are not engaged in the church. How many churches still have Sunday school, vacation Bible school, Bible study? These were things that taught character building. So now when we see teenagers that are walking the street and they're cussing out business owners, they're in schools cussing out their teachers. Well, if they're not learning character development at home, who else would be teaching that? The church is teaching that. But if the church has closed its doors to, you had a child out of wedlock, you're gay, you're this, you're that, then again, who is responsible for teaching character building? We also lost, civic engagement, where we were making sure that when we elected a mayor, when we elected city council persons, school board members, they were making sure that everybody was receiving a free library card. People don't even go to unless you know how to use the system. They don't even know that, oh, I could go here and get a job. I can get resources. I can get support if I am an addict or if I'm in an abusive household. So it's again, how do we deprogram people from trying to get likes on social media? Because it's not just Meta, trying to get likes, trying to get followers on social media platforms, trying to get money, because now I'm trying to monetize what I'm doing on social media apps, and losing human connection and also losing the ability to connect to reality.
Yes, absolutely. And not all churches are closed because mine is open and thriving, and we are definitely touching Atlanta in so many ways. But I've even heard young people say, um, with the whole dreadlock situation, and I'm not attacking hairstyle, but just for context, a parent was on social media and was saying like, "My son is always wearing his locks and they're over his face and I can't see him." And his response was, "I don't want people looking me in the eye. I don't wanna look at people in their eyes, so I wear my hair over my face so I don't have to look at people and then they can't look me in the eye." And to me, that signaled so many different things, because what are you
Yeah.
gonna do if you decide to go to the military, or what do you do if you decide to go to college, or what if you decide to start a business, or you have to deal with people, and your response is, I don't want people to look me in the eye, and I just see that, now on the psychology end, coming out of COVID-19 and this generation of technology. Very interesting if we were to do a case study on this generation and follow them over the next 10, 20, 30 years, what will happen to them within their, age group, um, what will happen as a society with communication, because you and I, we come from a different time when it comes to communication and
Yeah.
talking. Like, I came from the "give me a note, check me," "Do you like me?" check yes, no, or maybe, And so to see what's happening with our youth, and not all, but it's just seeing, it looks like a social tsunami that is headed this way, and it's just very alarming. And then when you look how that's gonna relate and translate in the space of education, what is really happening here?
Yeah. I mean, again, centering our slogan with the National Parents Union is putting kids first. And
Mhm,
there's so much happening in our society. We have a report called The Attack on American Childhood.
mhm,
And looking at mental health and wellness, you have kids that 5 or 6 years ago, they had parents that were married, that were thriving in their jobs. Now their parents are divorced or separated because mom and dad have lost their jobs economically. It's a strain. Now you went from being able to have access to good food, fresh food, healthy foods to, eating kind of like junk food, right? And it's kind of like eating the things that you see people joking about on, um, you know, social media. I also want to highlight a comment that you made earlier about the suburbs and what social media has done to normalize poverty. People have now taken the videos of families who were posting their experiences with having to, shower at Planet Fitness because they've lost their homes, but they still have to go to work, they have to go to school, they have to still be present and visible. People have now made that a trend. Everything is a trend. Everything is a, for a like, for a follow, for the instant gratification. And we've lost the true connection almost to what does it mean to be connected to humans in relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it also makes someone um, not discerning to when the situation is authentic, when it's real, and also it desensitizes to those in those situations, um, and makes it normal, and that part is scary as well. I was driving in from, work from the office yesterday, and here it was pouring down, and so, to get to the interstate, I have to drive down this particular street to get to the interstate, and on the street, there are 2 shelters, one on both ends of the street, one for women and children and the other for men, a couple blocks down, and this man, could have been our father, our grandfather, uncle, right? And in the pouring rain, he, for whatever reason, was disoriented, and he's literally in the middle of the street during rush hour in the rain, and you could see him trying to figure out, like, "I'm in this street." He couldn't even he did not have the cognitive ability in that moment to think, "I need to get out of the street and get on the sidewalk," and it took him a few
Wow.
minutes to get, and he was an older black man, and of course, there are people, many of them that don't look like us, annoyed, like, "Oh my god, this guy, I'm just trying to get home," and in my heart, and I could see him coming down the street, and I was like, "Lord, just give him the mind to move. I pray that nobody hits him." And it just really, and then by the time I got to him, it's like you could see something click in his face, and he was able to go like, "Okay, I need to get out the street." And he had all his all only thing he had his belongings, and he got out of the way. You could see people just like, "Ugh, finally." But I was just like, "Man, that's that's somebody's father, brother, uncle, and to think he did not have the capacity with himself. I mean, he was a grown man, but in his face, that childlike moment to not think, "Get myself out of the way." In the rain, you could see him hobbling along, and I'm just like, "Man, look at all these people that did not have the compassion for his situation. How did he even get here?" And it's just as a society, it's becoming so normal, and I'm just like,
But
this
I want to stay in this moment because when you think about things that we see on television shows like Law and Order and people are, abused and taken advantage of, they may become disoriented. And just the fact that people will walk by you and not, help you. And I'm bringing this up because what we have seen on social media, we've seen it over the news, over the last month, we've seen a lot of young people go missing. It's like it's clockwork. Every year around April, May, there's a lot of young people that go missing.
mhm,
And, I always wonder how some of them who unfortunately are found, in wooded areas, in areas where it was like, oh, I was maybe trying to get home, walking from the store, walking from Camp Creek Marketplace, and maybe I became disoriented. Maybe I have a health condition where, it was something with my heart, my lungs. It could have been something with, you know, a brain out, whatever it was. It caused them to be disoriented in that moment, to think that people could have seen someone walking down the street and, oh, why are you in the way? Why are you in the middle of the street? And not thinking this person could be having not even a mental break. They could be having a health crisis and no one stops. I wanted to just draw that point that no one stops to help. And that should scare us in a society where no one can care about somebody being in crisis, because we are so in the moment of I'm busy. We're everybody is so busy thinking about kids who don't have someone that's engaged with them because they're neglected, because I'm giving you a tablet, a phone, give you a game. Why are we so consumed with busyness that we don't have time to be compassionate to humans?
Yeah. And where that facility is located is specifically for men, and there are usually a lot of men up and down that street. So I could see as a woman not getting out, but there were a lot of grown, well-abled men that just drove by him and not and okay, you don't wanna get wet, but you can go home and dry your clothes and change your clothes into something warm and clean and dry, right? And so many men that looked like him did not stop and say, "Hey, man, let's get you out of the street." Nothing. It
Because
was just
clearly something is wrong. We
something
know
is
that it's
wrong.
raining, so
Yes,
why would somebody A in the rain, right? B in traffic where cars are moving, be walking down this road in the rain with vehicles? See two different dynamics, right? That would speak to our mind. Let's not even make this spiritual. That would speak to our mind
yes,
logic to say, hey, something is wrong here on a whole nother level spiritually. What you mentioned, that should also click for people, but maybe it doesn't. But spiritually, something should click and say, wait a minute.
mhm,
Not only is it raining, not only are vehicles passing by, but this person is disoriented. They are in danger. I'm hoping that they're able to gather something in their mind to be able to get to a safe place. Spiritually, that also was a missing piece, because
mhm.
people didn't even spiritually pick up that this person is in danger. I may not physically be able to help, but what can I do to shift the atmosphere, sing and pray something? So it speaks to where we are as a society.
Absolutely. Um, due to the sake of time, we do need to put a pin in this, but I want to bring you back because there are just so many facets and layers to this conversation, and we cannot just do it all in just one short sitting. And that's why you continue to come back. So before we do that, just one more thing.
Before we wrap up, what are your key takeaways from our conversation, and where can our listeners find you on social media?
Awesome. I love that. So educationalentities.com is where you can find me and get connected. Yes, I would definitely say go to Educational Entities, get connected to the YouTube channel. Lots of surprises this year that are coming up, including the seventh season of the Speak Black Man podcast, and also getting ready for the BME 2027 celebration. So we'll be doing nominations for our top 27 voices to follow in 2027, as well as the Georgia Teacher of the Year, Educator of the Year, father, grandfather, etc., so forth. It all is going to be on educationalentities.com. And I would say that the biggest takeaway from this conversation is have balance. Utilize technology, AI, for the resource and tool that it is, but remember to take that time to pop up and visit your loved ones, call them, pick up the phone, take time to be in the park, pick up a book and read it. If you are in Georgia or the metro Atlanta area, the I want to say the Barnes and Nobles bookstore is going out of business. The big bookstore on Cobb Parkway is going out of business. So
Wow.
go get you some books, coloring books, crossword puzzles. I'm also going to throw this out. It's get ready to be the summertime. Takeaway from this is to touch some grass, get connected, be connected, get a kite, get a scooter, go swimming. It's also good for your heart. Now, but most importantly, spend time away from your devices, and it gives you a whole different perspective on your work, your outlook in life, your focus, and also your human connections.
That is so good. Jason, I just really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you again for your wisdom, quick-witted, intelligent, funny, hilarious, so many things, and just
Thank
always,
you.
even when I meet you in person, just always so kind. So, and that's not always the case, particularly in this side. Just people just being nice. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. So, thank you for just
It
being a nice
doesn't.
person.
Kindness is a superpower. I'm telling y'all, go to liliesfoundation.org. We have a phenomenal On the Porch blog, but kindness is a superpower. That was actually the title of one of our previous blogs on the fruit of the spirit, actually. And
Wow.
kindness is a superpower. So I appreciate you highlighting that and mentioning that.
Oh, wow, thank you. And just
Be
one
nice.
thing, yes, be nice. Um, about the bookstore, do you know the last date of the closing of the
I want to say they said it's August 15th, so you have up to August to get there.
Okay.
So, start midsummer. It'll be closing in August. It's going to become a gas station.
What? We need books.
That's what the
I digress.
community is saying. We do need books. We also had a Black-owned bookstore that closed after 35 years or more in
Wow.
Greenbrier. So make sure you support Black authors. I'm also an author. Make sure you support us.
Yes.
Go online. There are some amazing bookstores. But again, get in your community and find those bookstores. You can get so many valuable things in bookstores. And thank you so much for having my book. Mine is on my wall, so I couldn't pick it up. But yes, Suit Swag and Success, educational entities, or reach out to me directly for a signed copy, or have me to come out and present to your teachers or your community. Yes, thank you.
I support my people, and I got the
Yes, you
receipt.
do. And listen, those who are in community do that. That's why I wanted to make sure that people knew about where to get connected to you on social media, that
Thank
follow my
you.
platform. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a connector and I love connecting people because that's how our ancestors thrived. And if we aren't doing it, we're not setting up our future generations to be connected and to be able to find success within each other. So, yes.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, that is another episode of the Speaker Podcast. Tune in next week. The amazing Adelia Johnson, she's going to be here, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. So be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe. Thank you again, Jason. Y'all be blessed. Be safe. Good night.
Wow, what a conversation. I hope you got something from tonight's episode. If you missed tonight's convo, no worries. Just catch the replay on YouTube and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Keep the Speaker Podcast ad-free. Scan the QR code and buy me a coffee. Your support keeps us ad-free as we continue to bring you conversations impacting the community and the culture.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speak Her Podcast. Be sure to follow Camille on Instagram at camille.essick, Facebook at the Speak Her Podcast, or www.camilleessick.com.
Listen, love the Speak Podcast. The feeling when you're here. There's a vibe in your ear.